when it comes down to producing on a continual basis, or coming down to development, our personal development. Do I let disappointment? Someone's disappointed me. Someone has let me down. Someone has not done something they promised me that they would do. They let me down. How do I deal with that? I can remember times in my childhood where I was told something and it didn't come out the way that the person told me it was going to. That bothered me. That bothered me. That made me not want to do that with other people. I can remember being disappointed by my head coach in college. I can remember that. I can remember being told something that didn't turn out to be exactly like he said it was going to be. But I wanted that to be the case. I wanted it to be exactly like the coach had said. But it wasn't. That bothered me. I was raised by my grandmother. Do unto others as you have them do unto you. I'm a literal type of guy. That meant something to me. That meant something to me. That in the game, it taught me how to push myself, but it also set me up sometimes for disappointment. That I was going to be disappointed. My uncle was going to disappoint me. My coach was going to disappoint me. Something was going to disappoint me. What did I use it for? How did I use that? I used it for motivation, so that I tried my best not to disappoint others, although I know I have. Although I know it has happened. Perfection sought, progress accepted. Failure. Man, how much can you fail? How many times can you fail? No matter how small the failure is, it always bothered me. It always pushed me. It always motivated me. The fumble was a different thing. It almost killed me. It almost killed my football life because I didn't deal with it the right way. I let other people dictate to me how I dealt with it, how I saw it, how it manifested in my life on a continual basis. Failure is going to happen. But how do you deal with that? What do you do with that emotional maturity? Understanding who you are, but also understanding how to take whatever is happening to you and use it. How can you use failure? How can you use a loss as motivation? How? It's possible. It's a process. It's an ongoing developmental process. We have to do it. It is a demand for us, for our emotional maturity to grow, for us to dictate in our lives how we're going to operate based on the principles that we have. Solid, strong, effective principles, good basics. Granny gave me good basics. She took me to church. She took me there so that I would get a good base spiritual foundation. And also I would learn how to serve the spirit, the inner man. One day it came into play. It has come into play on many different levels. How do I deal with winning? How do I deal with success? How do I deal with admiration? How do I deal with heroism? How do I deal with all of that? It's a process. Successful on the field, you get fanfare, you get recognition, you get perks, you get different things that come to you that normally would not. How do you deal with that? How do you handle success? Success can actually mess you up as much as failure and loss can. We have to be able to take the energies that we have, focus those energies, focus them in such a way that we benefit, that we do what we are assigned to do. We do our jobs. We do what the Spirit has put into us to do. All of those, it takes energy transfer. It takes a recognition of the energy. Initially, it takes a recognition that you are disappointed, that you're sad, that you're depressed, that you failed. Okay, it takes an acceptance of that. That recognition is first and foremost. Okay, how do we learn? How do we grow from this? Okay, how do we use that particular energy to move on, to get into the next level of life, or to continue the process of development? Because that process is continual. I'm going to be admired some. You know, at some points in my life, somebody is going to say, "Good job." Somebody's going to pat you on the back. Matter of fact, every now and again, you might need to pat your own self on the back. Man, that was a good job. Every now and again, recognize it, but also look at it at like, what can I do to get better? What's the process of me growing? How can I continue to grow? Emotional maturity. How do I handle when the coach gets on me? When he rides my back? How do I handle that? First of all, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, then he doesn't need to ride my back. But sometimes when I just don't get it or haven't gotten it, every now and again a coach needs to push you. Even though you might not need it, even though you might not see that you need it. Sometimes the coach, every now and again, the coach wants to make an example of someone that's always trying to do it right or always getting it right. He needs to make an example. He needs to show that he can coach the first guy, the guy that's the leader. It needs to happen. But how do I handle that? Do I get upset? Do I start pouting? Do I start worrying about what the coach is saying as opposed to focusing on the job that I'm supposed to be doing? It's so easy to get sidetracked. It's so easy to go to that, to go to the level that the coach is on or somebody else is on. It might be somebody in your life that's upsetting you on a daily basis. You in a class with a person who's just stuck in that negative mode. But you let that person drag you into that mode as opposed to looking at that person like, man, really? We dealing with this today again? Can we move on to another level? Can you help that individual move to another level by your actions and your reactions? That is the possibility. These things are going to keep coming. They're going to keep manifesting. Life is going to keep happening. The development is going to keep happening. But we have to make it a choice. It has to be something that we choose to do on a continual basis. Development is a choice. Growing is a choice. Winning is a choice. It's a continual choice. Emotional maturity. When there's pressure in the game, when the game is on the line and I need to make a play, can I make the play? Okay, can I handle the situation? Can I handle when the pressure is on? Because of what I've dealt with before this, it has taught me how to deal with the situation. It has prepared me. Each situation that we go through in our lives prepares for the next situation. We don't have to just wait till the circumstance or situation comes up to actually be ready for it. Each situation is preparing us. Preparation. The preparation process and the developmental process is a continual thing. How do I handle when the pressure is on? When it's time to make a play. When it's time to make an adjustment in the play. How do I handle that? Going through this process. Developing on a continual basis. Keep developing. Keep pushing. Keep seeking perfection. Keep doing it. But also know yourself. Also know that sometimes somebody else might know a little bit better than you. That you ain't got all the answers. We don't have all the answers. But we do have some. And we also have understanding. One of the things that the Spirit has gifted us with is the ability to adapt. We have the ability to adapt to any situation. Emotional maturity will let us know how to handle each situation. Do I get upset when somebody's on me? If I'm really happy that I made a play, if I'm really exuberant, how can I come back to when I need to make the next play? Okay? What is my focus? How do I get back to that? How do I use that energy, the negative, positive Hey, or otherwise, how do we use that energy to make the play? How do we do that? Emotional maturity, understanding what it is that I need to do, when I need to do it. If I'm in the classroom and it's a meeting going on, information is being given to me. If that is happening, do I start talking to the person next to me about some thought that I have? Or do I wait until the presenter has finished and maybe raise my hand, ask a question? How do I handle these meetings? How do I handle it when I'm out at practice? And it's time for the offense. If I'm on the offense, it's time for the offense to go to work. Do I find out what the play is? Do I focus on what's going on out there if I'm not in the practice or in the play? How can we win if we don't focus our minds? Focusing the mind and developing the mind is as important or crucial as developing the body. You have to lift mental weights just like you lift physical weights. It's a process of development. Emotional maturity. It takes recognition. It takes knowing. It takes somebody instructing you. It takes somebody encouraging you. It takes somebody knowing you. It takes somebody loving you enough to give you what you need. Even though you might not know that you need it. It needs that. You need it. I need it. When you see it, recognize it. When it's time to win, when it's time to focus, bring the mind there. Now, if you find yourself wandering off, if you find yourself taking a mental trip, figure it out, bring it back. Oh, damn, okay, I need to get back here. I need to come back. I need to focus here. Recognize it. Every now and again, everybody takes those trips. Everybody ventures off on little escapades while they're in a meeting. Everybody gets tired sometimes. It happens. Okay? But to recognize that takes emotional maturity. Understanding when I'm supposed to do something. Where am I supposed to do it? Understanding those things. Recognizing them and then going ahead and making it manifest in the way that it's needed. Emotional maturity. Do I get upset when somebody yells at me? Do I lose control? Do I go temporarily insane? Does that bother me so much that I lose it? Is that the process? Is that my process? Then if that is, then I'm not emotionally mature. If I can't accept coaching, if I always got to explain myself, I always got to say what's on my mind. Okay, this is on my mind. I need to get this off my chest. Yes, every now and again you might need to. But there's a place and there's a time for that. And the place and time is not when you're being coached. Maybe you need to go up to the coach's office and sit down and talk to him. Man to man. Be a man. As opposed to acting emotionally immature. Grow. Recognize that growth is a possibility. That every now and again, things are not going to be exactly like you want them to be. Love yourself enough to recognize it, to grow, to put it in, to make the decision. Get it for the love of the game.